Hi guys, Jeff at Slavens Racing. This video is about how to change the fuel pump in the KTM and Husqvarna dirt bike four-stroke models, 250 through 500, 501. They're not all exactly the same. Some of them have some different fittings on them, on the hoses, and a few other little minor differences, but this is the basic way to do it. Well, this fuel pump assembly's already been removed from the tank. This was brought to me by a friend just to do a video on, and I'll show you how to put it back in a tank. But anyhow, I'm doing this by myself, and it's also the first one I've ever done, so it's probably not going to be quite as slick as of an operation as I'd like, but we'll see what we can do here. It looks like it's fairly simple. So first of all, the kit this is the new fuel pump. This is the California Cycle Works fuel pump. It's a tiny little thing. And then it comes with a couple of these hose clamps and this little circlip, which I'll show you, not a circlip, but this little, I don't know what the hell they call this, little press-on clip. And I'll show you where that goes here in just a minute. From the factory, they come with these crimp-on style clamps right here, which I actually prefer. But those do require a special tool. I mean, you can do it with some side cutter pliers, I guess, or a number of other tools, but they do come with these screw-on type, which, like I said, I don't care for as much, but they still get the job done. So the first thing you have to do is get the fuel pump out of this housing here, because it's in here. Let's see if I can do this without knocking the camera around. So there's these little pieces right here that push in, and that allows this top to come off or the bottom to slide down. And I just put some thumb pressure on this little edge right here on this crack and kind of push that direction. As I'm pushing on this clip, you can see it kind of made a gap there. I'll push it again, makes the gap bigger, and then you can just, yep, that didn't work out so well. Let's try this side, and this side. There we go. So now that's popped up out of there. Then this plastic housing, let's see here, I did this a minute ago. Yep, then it just comes right out of there like that. So from there, you've got to get the fuel pump disconnected here. And a couple of things you have to address is this filter has to come off, and it just kind of pops off like that. Then underneath here is where that clip is. There's the clip down inside of there. And you have to destroy them to get them out. So I just have this little tool here, a pick. I know a lot of you have picks in your toolbox, and I'm just going to force that thing out of there and end up damaging it in the process. So there it's gone. So now this piece should come off. Maybe. Let's see what else is holding on here. There's some little remnants in there. So when you pop that clip off of there, it scars up the shaft and makes it to where it doesn't want to slide right off. So I took an X-Acto knife and kind of cleaned up the shaft a little bit. Still didn't really want to come off. So then I got underneath here with a screwdriver and I pried on it right here next to the shaft and popped it off, and it just came straight off. Didn't have to put much pressure on it. So we'll set that aside for now. Now we're getting down to the bare bones fuel pump, and you can see that this is the same as the one we're putting back in there as far as the way it looks on this end. So now we've got to get the hose off of it. I'm sorry guys, I'm doing this by myself. I'm sure it's not so great, but it is what it is. So there's two wires here. There's a plus and a minus on the pump, on the end of the pump there. Let's see if this one has a plus and a minus. Yes, it does. There's a plus and a minus on the new pump. And the red wire goes to the hot side. So the red goes to plus and the black goes to ground. Now I highly recommend that you do not just grab a hold of those with your fingers and pull on them, because you can pull the wire right out of the connector. I took a screwdriver and did this and pried the connector up. So from there, this hose is pretty well on there. I don't know if the guy that loaned me this already took this connector off, or if they just don't come with one. I really don't know. But I know that we've got to get this apart. So I'm going to, and this is hard, it's not going to come off. So I'm going to take an X-Acto knife. I'm going to cut down through here like this. Do that a couple times. Now it's opened up. Now that hose will come off of there. Maybe. So, yep, I'm going to prime it like that, and like this, and get it off. All right, now I've got the pump completely disconnected. So from there, I'm going to stick the new pump right in there. So new pump slides right in. I'm going to assemble this in first, I think. And put this little connector in there. We do have extras of these, and I'd recommend you get a couple because this baby might go shooting across the room. So I'm going to stop here for a second while I get another tool. So from there, you've got to, reinstall this little star washer. So you can see that. That's what I pried out of there and, destroyed getting it out of here to take this plastic piece off the pump. And, it's tricky getting them down in there. So I just have got this 1/4-inch driver. I mean, I use this thing for a lot of things. It's just got a 1/4-inch shaft on it with a 6mm socket on the end of it. And I'm just going to dip it into this grease here a little bit. And I'm going to stick that star washer right there on the end of it. Probably barely see it there. And then just stick it on the end of the shaft and push it all the way down. And this thing doesn't end up super tight. Be honest with you, that doesn't even have to be on there because once you get this thing in the housing, it's all going to hold itself together. So it's basically just to make it easier to get it in the housing. So you just take that, put it on the end of the shaft, push it down, and you've got that part. So I've already done that. There's already one in there. And from there, you got to put the filter back on, and it just pops on. So that just pops into place. And then you've got to put it back in the housing. Now, what I don't like about these housings are these tabs, because they don't have enough outward pressure to keep locked in very well. So I'm going to pry them out quite a bit. Be careful, don't break them off, but just pry them out, all 4 of them. And you might have to do this a couple times. And then you can just drop this pump in here. And the pump will only go in one way. I mean, there's this plastic piece that's got a slot that slides around this hose here. So you can only put it in one way. It will not go in wrong. So slide it down in there. And then you got to put the top on here. At this point, I'm going to push in on these tabs. And hopefully they'll snap into position. Sounds like they did. Yeah. I'm not real impressed with this system, to be honest with you. These back ones don't really want to stay in place. So I'm going to take this back out of here, see if I can get them to work a little bit better. Yeah, they're still pointing down pretty straight, so I'm going to pry the hell out of them. I don't feel like they want to break, so they're actually a little bit too flexible of a material. That's why they're not engaging very well. Stick that back in. Now it's going to make it a little bit tougher to get them started, but hopefully they'll kind of pop in there now. Yeah, that feels like a lot better fit that time. Yeah. I'll tell you, that's just a little bit of a Mickey Mouse system. So for the sake of this video, I'm not going to mess with that much longer, but I'd recommend that you do at home. I'm even going to take this little tool and try to pry up on them some. Anyhow, you get the gist of it, hopefully. From there, because I'm going to go back and mess with this, I'm not going to put this fuel line on all the way yet. But it comes with another section of fuel line, which goes right here. So you just gotta, this one here, you can just take some side cutters and destroy this clip, this hose clamp. Just destroy it with the side cutters and get it off of there. Then you'll be able to take this line off of the filter. It's probably not a bad idea to change this filter at the same time. We also have those in stock. And then you can just put on the new hose. It's pretty, that's pretty self-explanatory at this point. Slide the new hose on here, slide it onto the pump here. Obviously you gotta take this rubber cap off of here. And put your clamps on there, and then put your wires back on. So, I've shown you the hard part here. I think you can get it from here. I'm not going to take it to the very end step, because I'm probably going to go back in and mess with these clips some. I'm really not all that happy with the way they fit in there. And that should get you going for now.